So I've wanted to make this video for a while. I mean, I've done unboxings, obviously, on my channel before, but I've never actually done one that I've already owned. It's always a new unboxing. But I've always wanted to go and bring the board games that I have, because I've got like 40 at this point, and go over which ones I loved and which ones I want to share with you guys, so you guys have a better list of different board games to try out. And today I'm doing one of my favorites, Super Dungeon Explorer. So I'm actually going to unbox and tell you how to do the rules as best I can, summarized at least, to give you guys a better understanding of what that game is. Although, just fair warning, it is 80 bucks. At least I think it still is. That's what it was when I got it. Might be less, might be more. Not quite sure. This is the second edition, just so you guys know. And with that said and done, let's go ahead and open this up and see what's in the box. Alright, so today I'm doing something a little different. As you can see, this is a lot more space than normal. That's because this is a really big game and I need a place to actually show you guys. That's not my small little desk over there. So actually opening it up, and again, remember, I've already owned this, so I've already messed with everything. You'll get a classic mode rulebook, an explorer's handbook, and an arcade mode. So those two are the different rule books, because this game does have two different modes. Arcade mode, you can play 1 to 4. Classic mode, you can play 2 to 5. Then you got a quick start rulebook, as well as a small little advertisement for other games that this company makes. And then you've got the Explorer's Handbook, which is mainly just lore. And last I heard, they were trying to make an RPG for this, like kind of like a tabletop RPG. That is really cool. And especially because they have the lore book in here, that you get a taste of it. With an RPG, you'd get a lot more of that lore just right off the bat. Then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 double-sided tiles. One of them is the dungeon, and the other one is the actual like forest area. They all have different rules and specialty things you have to look out for. I'll explain those as best I can in a bit. You also have dice. You have you have 3 different types of dice. You have blue dice, red dice, and green dice. If I can get this. Blue dice, you've got 8 blue dice, 6 green dice, and 8 blue dice, 6 red dice, and 2 green dice. They are stronger as they go along. So, for example, the blue has I think it's 2 misses, 2 1 hits, 1 2 hit, and then a heal. This one has, I think it's just 1 miss, 2 1 hits, a 2 hit, a 3 hit, and then a potion. Then this one has no misses, just 1 hit, 2 hits, 1 3 hit, a 4 hit, and then a heal and a potion. Those are good. You get those by getting different cards and whatnot. So if you're using arcade mode, most likely, you're going to be using these cards. These will actually tell the minions on the board where to go, what to do, etc. These over here are the actual like traps and whatnot that'll be used throughout the thing. You can also get allies and small ally creatures and whatnot, and that's what these are. These are small little reference cards for those allies. It's kind of cool. There's also the big bad baddie, and then the classic Mighty Monster rules, and the arcade Mighty Monster rules, and then of course the the arcade mode explanations and whatnot. You've got those there. Well, I'll just leave them out right here. Then you've got the actual like trap icons. So there's quite a few different ones. There's small 1 squares, there's 1 by 4, there's 2 by 2s, and they'll just go on as long as there's a trap out. There's quite a few of them. Then you've got the adventuring pouch. Any loot you get will immediately go here, and then you can display or decide who gets what later on. These are actually the different creatures and whatnot that you'll be running into. So, and these are actually the heroes. So you can't really use these two, but they do come with the set just because as soon as you get an expansion, you can use these. But they are the actual mini bosses. These are actually the players you can play as, and they'll have a strength, which will say how many dice they roll, armor, which is how many dice they roll, will, and dexterity. That'll be used for different things. They also have a movement and an action set right here. It'll say what it uses, and then their health and how many potions they have. They can use a potion for that ability, and then use different actions for these abilities, and each one has different stats and whatnot, different abilities and whatnot. These characters are very interesting. Although they are very chibi, I still really love this game. I'm not very fond of chibi art, but it's still really cool, and I love the gameplay, really. So these are, again, the really big monsters, the big bad baddie himself, the two the mini bosses, and then all the different mini creatures and whatnot. These are actually spawn points. So as long as these are out on the field, they will actually keep respawning as soon as, if you're playing arcade mode, if a respawn card comes out. So let me see. Exploit, griefer, combo, grind, recover, hack and slash, lag, respawn. And it just says spawn on there. That means that any spawn locations will respawn all the enemies that were defeated. Then you've got the tile effect cards, which will tell you what they do. There are a bunch of different effects and whatnot that you should at least be familiar with. These are for the actual classic mode instead of the arcade mode. Those are for arcade. So these will actually be controlled by another character. The arcade mode is actually where the deck plays against you. But in classic, it's kind of like D&D, where one of you is the board and the other one is the and the other players are actual heroes. You can play one who plays the console or the board, and one who plays a hero, or two who play a hero, three who play a hero, four who play a hero. You can always play up to 4 heroes. However, the biggest difference between arcade and classic is whether or not you're playing against the board or if you're playing against a player playing as the board. These are all the different small items. As you'll notice, some of them have are above, some of them are to the right, some of them are to the left, some of them are on the bottom. That's because on your character you'll notice there's a red dot, a green dot, a blue dot, and a yellow dot. The red dot will go up here, so you have a slot up there. Then the blue goes down here, and the left will go over here, etc., etc. And they'll each give you different stuff. So +1 star, which is pretty much a hit to dexterity. You get an extra action. You get extra blue dice for dexterity. These cards are okay. These are regular loot cards. However, there's also treasure cards. You'll get these whenever you defeat bosses and whatnot. And these do the same thing, just better. So they'll mainly give you red dice instead of blue dice, and some of them will even give you green dice. That's really, really good. And then, of course, there's also like specific creatures depending on who you're fighting. So that's for the Deeproot Treant. That's for the actual Forgotten King, etc., etc. You'll mainly get these. You'll get these whenever you defeat opponents, but you'll defeat these whenever you defeat a boss or a mini boss. Because with expansions and whatnot, you could actually do multiple bosses and whatnot. So that's all the cards. I'm not really going to go completely into detail. Like I said, I'm just going to do a quick overview. The biggest selling point, though, is that this is all of the miniatures. Yes, there are a lot of stat things, of course there are, with a board game this size. But you'll notice these miniatures are not just like crappy little miniatures. They are nicely designed and whatnot. This is actually one of the heroes. She actually does take up 4 squares. And then you got the regular heroes who actually just take up 1 single square. And then you got the big bad baddies. And then you got the little miniature baddies. Little carrot guy. And then there's even treasure chests around there. because when you open them up, they could be treasure chests. However, some of those treasure chests might be mimics, and they are evil. They will do so much damage, and it's annoying. But then, of course, there's also the little ones for the little pets as well, because they're adorable. And then, of course, there's also the spawn locations, if I can find one of those. Here's one of them. This is one of the spawn locations. And on the spawn cards, it'll actually tell you what spawns there. So, for example, let's see, that one's a Bramble Knight, so it'll actually tell you what spawns and what cards you need to actually see what their stats are. So, for example, the Executioner's Gang and the House of Frog Gang. So you go over here, there's the Executioner's card and the House of Frog card. Those are their stats, so those are the only cards you need. But then it'll also tell you what miniatures you need. And it's useful. It's very useful. And of course, it also has armor and health because, well, it is destructible. You can destroy it and it'll stop spawning. So what you do in a normal game is you actually set up these in a certain way that you want your dungeon to go. You'll set up one of these on each location, which there should be 4 different, I think 3 or 4 different spawn locations. Then of course the boss as well. And the boss should have a few people with him, I'm pretty sure. I think, maybe not. But there are certain rules to set it up. And from there, pretty much you and your party, because you can play this one player against the board. You can play as the arcade version solo player, just one. I've tried it and it's all right. It's pretty fun. But I also played it with friends once and it was so much better. It was so fun. You play through it. It's pretty much just an arcade hack and slash game with board stuff. And let me tell you, going from these basic stats, rolling 3 blue just to do some basic hits like that, like 2 hits. Oh wow, cool. To, you know, getting crap like this, and that. Wow, that was actually lucky. And not that one. And this one, there we go. So for example, you'll be rolling a crap ton of stuff. Let's trade this one out actually and get like a one for the left on that one. So there we go. Boom. So yeah, now you're rolling that and doing a crap ton of damage on that. You hit twice and get a health and a potion. Boom. Just with 1 extra dice. And then of course for the dexterity, there's all that crap. So will, for example, would be this one, and then another one of these. So boom. What I'm trying to say is going from basic boy to upgraded boy is awesome as hell, and it really actually feels nice because these monsters that take like 4 turns to destroy actually get defeated in like 1 turn, 1 single hit once you get strong enough. And that and the progress and the feel of progress actually is really satisfying, and I really like it. And of course, it does take quite a bit to actually set everything up, because this is just me getting it out and actually showing you guys what's in it. Then, of course, it takes time to put it all back in as well. You probably noticed that I didn't do a huge explanation on how to play. I didn't go into all of the cards. I didn't go into all the statuses and whatnot. That game is really huge, and I would actually have to make pretty much a whole video dedicated to just explaining the rules and whatnot. But instead of doing that, I was thinking of actually doing a stream over on my Twitch and maybe on YouTube, I'm not sure, of me and my friends actually playing board games. And that's why this video is kind of shorter. I wanted to give you guys this message and kind of do a small little poll, kind of. I also did one on my Twitter and it didn't really do that well, so I'm leaving it to you guys. Would you guys be interested in seeing a small test stream, kind of? Not specifically of Super Dungeon Explorer, maybe just a smaller game, or maybe a small board game or a card game, maybe even Uno or something, of just me and my friends playing and seeing how that turns out. We'd have to use probably mine and my other friends' webcams to actually get us and the board, but My friend also has a bunch of different lavalier mics, and we could possibly use those to actually get everyone's voices in there. Not to mention, I do have a Yeti microphone, so I could just put it right in the middle and set the sound to surround and whatnot. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. If you guys are interested in Super Dungeon Explorer, let me know as well. If you guys want me to do a specific game, let me know in the comments. I'll try my best to get that game. There are a few games on my wish list before, though. I saw this one that's kind of like a MOBA, but a board game, and it looks really cool. I'm not saying I'm going to do that video next. Definitely not. I have another video planned before that. Not to mention that game is $80, and I do actually have to get it. So, so that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Jay Akari, logging out.